Hey, it's Ross. Let's start with, is ADHD even real? There are some people in this debate that think that it isn't, because it sounds like symptoms that they have experienced. And anything that qualifies as a disorder should be something, I don't know, special, different, whatever. Things like losing your car keys, or walking into a room and forgetting why you came in the first place. Getting mad easily, or being impulsive about something. I mean, these are all symptoms that normal people experience. So because they have experience with these things, they feel like the people who say they have ADHD are just being lazy, or just need to try harder, or this is life, deal with it. Any of those types of excuses. So the truth of the matter is that ADHD most certainly is real. There is mountains of scientific evidence about brain scans and behavioral analyses and all sorts of things that show that people with ADHD do experience these symptoms, including a host of others, and comorbidities, and they experience them with greater frequency and a much higher intensity than people without ADHD. So I think we can put that particular debate to rest. But if you guys want to see a video on that, on all the evidence, there's plenty of them out there in the YouTube universe, but I'd be happy to do one for you if you want to see one. A great analogy that I've heard about ADHD is that it's like having a Ferrari engine, but with bicycle brakes. There's lots of performance there. There's lots of ability, but you just can't really slow down. You can't really take corners well, etc. I mean, it's however far you want to take the analogy, right? That analogy really kind of holds true, because people with ADHD are usually very, very smart. The problem is that they can't self-regulate. So why is self-regulating such a big deal? Well, when you can't regulate your emotions, when you can't regulate your attention, when you can't regulate your impulses, that can be kind of a problem in today's world. You're seen as lazy, lacking attention. You're seen as someone who's emotionally high-strung. You're seen as all the wonderful and beautiful things that really make up ADHD. There's a great example for this, and that is what is considered by some to be the ADHD superpower, or at least one of them, and that's hyperfocus. Hyperfocus can be great. It can also be a curse. Flow is this magical state where everything is just meshing just perfectly and you're doing your best work. Hyperfocus is like grinding. You can't say when it's going to start or stop. It's entirely interest-based. The ADHD brain is not driven by priorities, but really by interest. And unfortunately, we don't really have a lot of control over interest either. That's why you can spend hours at work going down rabbit holes on the internet and not really realize it. Or you can sit at your computer and know that you have to get something done for work, a report, project, whatever it is that you're working on, and you just can't make yourself do it. That's something that's generally referred to as the wall of awful. There are some great videos out there on the wall of awful. We can cover that later. But the wall of awful is that barrier between you and what you know you should be doing. You sit there and you think, I really need to get this done. And yet you can't close that browser tab, or you can't put down the video game, or you can't, whatever it is, right? You can't make yourself do it. It's not because you're lazy, and it's not because you're broken. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just not made for the modern world that we live in. You're made for something different, for the world 100 years ago or more. So what kind of world were we made for? Well, there's a theory going around that people with ADHD are the creatives, the inventors, but also the seekers, the hunters, and the explorers. They're the people that are driven to take risks and do things that, sometimes honestly isn't really a good idea, but we end up doing them anyway. There's that impulse control again, right? I'm not sure if that's correct. I haven't seen any scientific studies on that. It is a nice idea, and it kind of makes sense. And whether it's true or not, it doesn't matter. People with ADHD are driven to do things, to create, to go on adventures, to explore new things. So the real trick is, how do we, as people with ADHD, function in a world that was never designed for us? The term that's thrown around is neurotypical. How do you function in a neurotypical world? It's a great question. So So I grew up really thinking that something was wrong with me. I wasn't right, that I was born different. But I thought that was normal in a weird way. So I thought everyone experienced life the same way I did, and that I just had to try harder, or I just had to find that hack. And if I could do that, then everything would be great. I'd be able to really be successful, whatever that means. It turns out that there's no amount of hacks. At least for me, there's no productivity system out there. Now, that being said, there are plenty of really good productivity systems, and they seem to work for a lot of people. Unfortunately, for ADHD, everybody kind of has their own flavor. Even if you try and incorporate a productivity system from someone who has ADHD, maybe it will work, maybe it won't. The key is really to try a bunch of different things, but to do it in an intelligent way. Because if you're just throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks, you're never going to get anywhere for years or decades. I know, because I've done it. You want to use a systematic approach to be able to try these different things, to evaluate them, to see what works with your specific ADHD brain. ADHD is more of a range of symptoms, a range of frequency, a range of severity, and everybody's in a different place on each of those symptoms. So everyone's brain is going to be different. There isn't an ADHD channel that really talks about, okay, we have ADHD, but let's really use a systematic approach to try and thrive in a neurotypical world. So to do that, we're going to use engineering. And that's really what this channel is about. I'm an engineer, and it's a very logical way to attack problems and to come up with real-world solutions. This is a way to look at a problem, come up with concepts, different things that you can try, different experiments, see what the results are, and then fine-tune those results to get what you and I are after. We're going to figure this out. We're going to have a good time doing it. You'll learn how to be a NASA engineer along the way, and we're going to engineer the crap out of ADHD. We'll see you in the next one.